My experience playing in big bands. Okay, where do gigs come from? Well, most gigs come from, for me these days, they come from calls from people that I've networked with and maybe impressed, hopefully impressed. When I got a call to play with Megadeth, it was my friend Alan, who worked over at the ESP Guitar Company. And he gave me a call and he said, "Hey James, what are you doing?" And I said, "Well, nothing at this moment." And he goes, "You want to be in a really big metal band?" And I said, "Sure." And so he said, "Okay, well, why don't you send me a package with your CD and some metal stuff?" And I said, "Well, I don't have too much of that, but here you go." And he sent it off to Dave Mustaine, and before you knew it, Dave had me on the phone, and that's the way that one happened. The thing I pride myself on, and being what I call a journeyman bass player, is that I'm always prepared for a gig. I always take the time to understand the band I'm going to be in. I try and do as much background research as I can. I try to understand the type of music I'm going to be playing, which, you know, I've been studying a lot of different genres of music my whole life, so that's not too hard, but I really like to kind of focus on the way this band feels, the way the drummer plays, the way he played on the original records. If it wasn't him, what was that like? And this way, when I show up there, I can try and make everybody in the room feel comfortable. Having said all that, sometimes you just have to bring your own personality and your own ability, and that's something else you keep in your pocket. If you play long enough, you'll have your own sound, and you'll have your own way of playing, and you can basically just kind of open that up anytime you need to. And sometimes mixing that with what people expect can give them just a little more excitement about you. It's very important to understand your role in the band too. When I joined Megadeth, for instance, I was aware that Dave Ellefson played probably everything with a pick. And at that point, I was pretty much a finger player, although I had enough experience playing with a pick just for my own amusement and recording and stuff like that. Yeah, I came in and I just, I worked strictly with a pick, and that seemed the right way to go. At one point, Dave Mustaine even said, you can play it with your fingers if you want. And I kind of thought, well, yeah, I could, but I don't know if it's going to sound like Megadeth. So I stayed that way. But anyway, to have as much variety in your playing as possible is always a bonus. I mean, if you can slap a pick and do all the tricks, it's always good to know that stuff. And even if you don't use it half the time, it's kind of fun to have those parameters in your own ability. I've often said that my job basically is to dine with kings. I play with these big rock stars, and I love it. I love being in their company, and there's something that sets them apart from most people that you meet. And that's how come they write all these great songs and they make these giant, wonderful bands. And I always understood that although I dine with kings, that is not my table. So this is an important lesson for you guys out there. If you ever get the opportunity to play with one of your heroes or somebody that you really dig, just remember to be kind of reverent to the situation, because they're hiring you for your ability. They're not hiring you to take over the band for them. So as I've tried to demonstrate, there are so many ways to approach the technical side of bass sound and recording. In the confines of this video, we've only scratched the surface. So I encourage you to try different things. Keep experimenting and find out what works for you. As you can probably tell, bass has been one of my great life passions. I hope you found this video guide informative and helpful. And thank you to the folks at Audient for creating the tools I use every day to make my music. I'll see you out on the road.